Well, welcome everybody to our latest podcast. This is being brought to you by the Pie Shop, of course, providing product incubation services for the entire world. And Blue Dolphin Engineering, we've been doing product development and machine design for 2 decades now. And sponsoring this is a pleasure. I'd like to welcome a true entrepreneur, Lance Minnite. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
Appreciate
Good to
you
be here.
coming in.
Yeah.
Lance, pretty impressive background, but we'll mention a few things here. A Bachelor of Arts in Journalism from San Diego State University. He built and owned a radio station, KZRM FM in New Mexico. He's been in the broadcast media for 30 years in various capacities in various media. He's currently involved with something he's very passionate about. It's part of his life, actually, is animal welfare programs here, including the No-Kill Valley Coalition, the Valley Animal Center, and the Fresno Humane Animal Services. He's the author of a short story fiction adventure called The Sponge Society, which is going to be published here soon. And his latest venture, however, is what brings him to us today. It's his invention, the Laundry Lance. So okay, Lance. I obviously, we want to hear about your invention and how this all came to being. I think it's useful for the people out there to kind of hear how you step through this, because there's a bunch of different ways of doing this, and I think people would really like to kind of hear your story. So the idea, where did it come from? I mean, what started this whole thing?
Sure. Well, the idea, the process from getting from that light bulb going off in your head to actually a workable model, a prototype, it is quite a process, and you got to know how to micromanage every bit of that process, because it's going to be up to you, the inventor, to guide, also listen, also partner with quality people in different avenues in the world of bringing an idea to life.
So, I mean, was this something you've been thinking about for 10 years and finally decided you're going to work on it? Or, I mean,
So what happened was, everybody has got to do something they hate, and that's called laundry. So you put your laundry off till Sunday night, Sunday evening. You've had a great weekend, and now it's like, oh God, I got to do this laundry. And everybody understands the frustration of laundry not coming out of the wash or the dry completely, one, clean out of the wash, two, completely dry out of the dryer. And
it takes forever sometimes.
Right. And what's incredibly frustrating is when it's Sunday night and you're doing your last load of laundry, and it happens to be your bed sheets, and you just want to go to bed. And the dryer keeps saying, hey, ding, 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 it's ready, we're dry. You go in there and you pull them out, and they're damp, or they're, in some places, wet. Okay, so you open up the door, let the heat out, shuffle this, you're frustrated and mad, irritated because it's Sunday night and you want to go to bed and you got wet sheets. Throw it back into the dryer. Ding, ding, ding. 10 minutes later, it says it's dry. Huh? How's that happen? Still damp. So you go through this process, and I'm standing there. It was April 2017 on a Sunday evening, and I was just flipping out at my dryer because now it's almost 10 o'clock, and I'm still trying to dry my sheets. And so instead of kicking my foot through the dryer door, I happened to glance down, and I saw a rubber dog toy. And I'm looking, and I look at the dryer, and I go, wait. So my brain's firing.
The light bulb came on
The
over your
light
head.
bulb came on, and I immediately threw the laundry back into the dryer and started sketching out what I saw could be the answer to this problem that I had repeatedly, like almost every week, as well as I found out everybody else that does laundry has the same frustration.
Yeah.
And so, okay, well, there's got to be something out on the market on this, but let me just figure this out. And so then as I moved along the process, I'm looking and I go, there's nothing on the market designed to keep things separated in the dryer, particularly the dryer. This works in the wash too, but particularly in the dryer. There's nothing out there that keeps it separated. And we found a few other benefits to the product. And the way the product works is and I don't want to give out too much information. We are in the patent pending process. So, so everybody's duly noted on that.
Yeah.
But the way it's designed is it creates chaos within the drum of the dryer, and you want that chaos to break up the rhythm. So what happens is everything that starts to catch in a rhythm, it's picked up by some of the spokes or the lances, basically, and it interrupts it and it throws it out, and then it's almost like magic within 2 to 5 seconds at the most through all of the product or the prototype testing. The device literally disrupts that rhythmic pattern, and you have everything getting dry quick.
As opposed to just clumping up to a big ball and getting thrown around as a ball inside.
Exactly. And so, so along the process, I went through, sketched it out, and then I started to look at companies that would help me take the idea to.
So let's back up here just a little bit and cover something. I think you touched on this.
Yeah.
So you came up with this idea, and you wanted to know, has somebody already done this, right?
Right.
I mean, so what did that look like? What did you do? Did you search on Google? I mean,
yeah, you start looking at it. Is there anything on the market? And you're not seeing it. You're seeing there's some items that the only thing on the market is the dryer balls.
Yeah.
There's a Mr. Steamy, but that's just it doesn't separate clothing. It doesn't dry clothing, or it's not for the wash. That is just to take wrinkles out of clothing. I think that retails for about $22.
Because the clothing have been thrown into a big ball.
Right. And they're
dry.
So
now you need
there's that one product. Then there's the little dryer balls, but those are actually a way to. What they do is they're marketed, and their function is to soften materials or articles of clothing without using chemical softeners, because people don't want chemicals anymore.
Sure, right. So you do this research and
those are the only two things out there. And so I'm going, man, I can't believe I'm the only guy out there that's figured this out.
Yeah.
It comes out. Yes, evidently I am, because through a series of events I had, and I'll recommend to everybody, once you find out if your product or your idea is patentable, get a very good patent attorney.
Yes.
You have to keep in mind, you've got to align yourself with quality people, credible people, and you want to have that relationship with them and work with them almost as partners. I have a fantastic patent attorney.
Who is that?
He's in Scottsdale.
Okay.
Eric at Integrity.
Okay.
And so,
Plug Eric.
Yeah, Eric's a good guy. I've almost adopted him as a family member. I kind of want to, but he's done a fantastic job on writing the patent applications, and so we did a patent search. Everything was in the clear on the domestic as well as global, the international.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
I said, if you're going to go big if you're going to go big.
Sure.
So I decided, let's go ahead and file for patent protection on U.S. as well as international markets, and so far, or international offices, and so far everything's a green light.
That's good.
And so we filed that April 27th of 2018. So it took a full year of as we discover things. And so we're in that process. We're in patent pending process.
So everybody understands, of course, there's a lot of nuances to getting a patent and that application process. We actually did a podcast that addressed a lot of that. So if you guys are curious about that, you can always check out that podcast. So for some people, a very important step in this process. So, okay, so you've figured out that nobody's out there. You've done some due diligence. You did a patent search and starting to get excited and realizing that really nobody's done this.
Right.
You actually got patent applications in. It looks like they're going through.
Right.
And so you're patent pending. And so what's next? So what, I mean...
Okay, so this is where, once again, it's up to the inventor. The inventor, if you really want to see things move forward, you can't be the inventor that just goes, oh, I've invented and now I get to lay back and wait for somebody to approach me to give me billions of dollars. It doesn't work that way.
Doesn't happen, yeah.
So it's going to be up to you to network, to market, to surround yourself by people that are smarter than you, that can guide you. So I have actually been in conversations since May of 2018 and are in the final stages of discussion in a licensing partnership agreement with one of the largest global household names there is on the planet.
Yeah.
And how I have done that is I ended up knowing people, and once again, it's about networking and knowing people that are within the household laundry care, laundry aid, laundry products industry. They actually made an introduction. There's also other ways to do this too, and I followed those ways as well with several other companies, as well as with this company. Is you can go to those companies of interest and go to their partnership pages where you can actually submit your ideas. Now, I will caution you, you've got to be very, very careful. You need to have your idea protected. So you do need to be, if it is a patentable product, you need to go these proper steps first. Once again, get with a very good attorney that can do the proper paperwork, the patent searches, and then go ahead and feel confident about reading the fine print on the submitting forms with every company. Because some companies, even though you're in pending, there are certain languages in there, and I happened to catch one of them, and this was another very big household name that I said, no, I can't even consider doing business with you. So there's things you got to be aware of.
Sure.
So,
okay, so you and I, we've had a few people on here, and Blue Dolphin's dealt with hundreds of people have told us their stories about how they've gotten through some of this process. So it involves work and not sitting on your rear end. And so that's an important aspect. And doing some research and using your connections, which is important in any aspect in life, really, I believe. Yeah. But especially very useful in business. So you got some connections with potential somebody you could potentially, and you're looking at getting some kind of license agreement or royalty type situation?
Exactly. Do I want to go into another business? Maybe. Do I want to do this myself? Maybe. But quite honestly, I'm in my 50s and I want to go do some other things. The product works, thankfully. It works like a charm, and I'm so happy about it. And I know that it would do a lot of good out there, so I do want to see it out there. And as well as we did the cost to market analysis with a manufacturer, because that was another piece of the pie as well. And when you're talking with these companies that you want to make an agreement with, is you need to show profitability.
Sure.
So this needs to cost X amount.
Sure.
But the market needs to be able to pay X amount.
Sure.
So that you have a profit.
Yeah.
And so thankfully this measures well within those parameters. So with that, you want to look at some sort of an agreement with somebody that's a company that does have the resources to market, to get the initial orders paid for and distributed and out there. And so that's what you want to do, unless you want to do it yourself. And so for me, I'm looking at, I would rather use the muscle of those big guys to get this out into 6, 8, 12 million dryers.
Right.
Not just in the U.S., but across the globe.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the process of how you got there. The actual, you're a Blue Dolphin client.
Yep.
And what led you to come to Blue Dolphin? I mean, what was it that...
Once again, connection.
Yeah.
And it was a referral, and it was from somebody that used Blue Dolphin before.
I love those referrals.
Exactly.
Like gold.
Ron Haskett.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So he said, give Mark a call at Blue Dolphin. They helped me with something. And I got Ron's number from one of my gym buddies. He owns a land developing company and so on. And so we were talking, and he goes, Lance, he goes, I love the product. I go, yeah, but Tom, I need to find some sort of local connection or somebody that can help me develop the piece, design the piece. And he goes, give Ron a call. And Ron says, talk to Mark at Blue Dolphin. And so that's how, once again, you surround yourself by good people that are smart, that are, a little more, I guess,
experienced and knowledgeable in whatever field they happen to be in. Yeah.
And then that's how things, I guess, organically unfold.
Well, sure. So you have an idea. You think it's patentable. You apply for patents. You have started doing some conversations with some people about trying to get the product out on the market. You've engaged with Blue Dolphin Engineering to help actually do the actual design development of the actual product. So what's that look like? I mean, I know how this normally works with clients, but what was that interface like? I mean, what did you came to us with a concept? I don't even know. Did you have a sketch? I mean,
okay, so
prototype?
I actually had sketch. I had a very crude prototype that I had assembled from rubber dog toys. Okay. Which worked. Yeah. I mean, you got to pull it all together. And give it a whirl, and that's on the first initial. I had also had some 3D renderings as well that I sent over to Sean. And immediately when Sean and I first sat down on a consult, he got it immediately. Yeah. And he goes, Lance, he goes, this solves the problems. He goes, I know exactly what the problem is. He goes, this solves so many problems. Yes, right. And I mean, he got it immediately. Yeah. And so that was terrific because I had buy-in from Sean. Sure, right. Here at Blue Dolphin going, you have a winning product. Yeah, yeah. So now we really got to work together. And so we've had multiple conversations, and we've had multiple design tweaks. I don't want to say too many, but we had several design tweaks to improve the product. And Sean was able to say, well, if we did this, we can do this. If we did that, we can do this. Right. And not only that Sean was able to, once again, expand the network through resource vendors to find us a manufacturer
Right.
that could do it.
Sure.
I mean, those were some extra miles that
Sure.
Sean went to
Yeah.
connect those dots.
Sure. Yeah.
And without Sean's, I guess, diligence in that and attention to those moving pieces and our free-flowing conversation throughout, I don't know, 7 months, I guess.
Has it been? Yes.
I think about seven months we've been working together.
Mm-hmm.
It seems a little bit longer, but then we probably wouldn't have gotten this far this quick.
I know, like, for example, that one of the issues we were concerned about was, well, there were a couple things. I remember we were concerned about how this would actually be manufactured.
Right.
And that's not a very, as it is right now, it's very manufacturable.
Right.
But as the original concept, we first started talking about potentially very difficult to manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a good example, as I remember, of where the design was starting to dictate the manufacturing process.
Exactly.
And through our conversations, as you mentioned, we were able to adapt the design to make it much more manufacturable, where in this case now it is a straightforward injection molded part.
Right.
And we were able to use different materials.
Right.
And that would give the performance that you were hoping for.
Right.
And I know, that is obviously what we're trying to give value to what we do is that knowledge of manufacturing processes and materials that can help make that jump.
Right.
Where you were trying to figure out what would be the best thing to do.
Right. Exactly.
And this is what it led to.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And
along that, it was kind of like, I don't want to say give and take, but it was like a two-way street conversation with Sean and yourself and myself on we figured out there were two ways to manufacture it.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the most cost effective? But the other thing is it had to also serve a couple of different masters. It had to work in the wash and it had to work in the dry and withstand the heat intensity, sustain the banging, as well as the detergents and the bleaches and so on in the wash. And so that was one master that we had to serve, but the other master it was incredibly important to me that this be made of recycled materials as well as that can be recycled. Because when you get into the rubberized world, there's a lot that different variations that can and cannot be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
there's
so
some things that are not recyclable that may have served the purpose. Exactly.
Yeah. So we were able to narrow it down to one of two, and then we went with the one. And this is just the 3D printed version, which is basically only 85% of the materials that we could use, and 15% was basically. So it's not the exact, but
I'd like to point out too is that this model was not actually constructed by us because of its size,
right?
But
it was designed by you guys.
And we typically could have printed this, or we actually could have. We would have had it done in several component. Well, not several, but more parts.
Right.
But that is, one of the other things we bring to the game is if we can't answer a question and help,
you'll find
we have so many vendor partners and resources we've worked with now all over the world. So this is a nice prototype and something we would be proud to make and to be associated with. So all right. So you got your idea. You've got patents pending. You might have somebody who can distribute this for you. You've gone through the design process.
Gone through all of the tests too.
Okay.
All of the tests. So that's what the main company that I'm working with required is we do measurements. Because they're not going to sign off on a licensing agreement on something that, hey, I'm pretty sure it works.
Yeah.
No. So we had to have very specific laundry loads, very specific temperatures, very specific weights, very specific types of laundry, and then with or without, and with dryer balls and not my product. And so I ended up doing There was 39. Well, it's all documented. 39 different tests.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so then that also goes into it, and that was all the inventor doing it. Once again, you can't lay back and think that it's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they didn't just send you an envelope full of money.
No. So
amazing.
it's 104 degrees outside, and I'm in my garage watching my dryer, and it's 104 degrees in my garage, this summer. So, but it was great fun and very exciting. And when you see your prototype actually working, you're kind of like proud papa.
Sure.
That, you just gave birth to this and it works.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Great.
Yeah. Well, very good.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, well, so, one of the other things I should mention was, once the design was done, that's the one step then that also allowed you to get some production costing. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was part of the, actually that was a big part of, what Sean had really vetted out was you wanted a manufacturer that could handle the load, because as far as manufacturing mass quantities,
that's what
you're talking
hundreds of thousands,
if not 1.5 million per year. At what sort of cost is that? What does that look like?
Sure.
And you have your and what does it include packaging? And if it includes packaging, we need to make sure that it's 100% recycled materials and recyclable, because we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so Sean was able to have all of that packaged in, as well as shipping and so on. And so that was that whole process.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with a very clean looking package that you can present. This is what your cost of manufacturing, and here's what it's going to take to get to the port of Los Angeles.
And that's what you're hopefully, which the people who are going to be selling this, they want to know.
They want to know
what is the product,
what's
it cost to manufacture, and of course if it's packaging, including packaging, they want to know all those things.
Sure.
So you got a lot of information.
And the most important thing is, does it solve a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make life easier? And that's what all of these companies want to see. What problem does it solve?
Mm-hmm.
And does it make life easier?
Sure. Yeah.
And if you can solve several problems, then you're, I don't want to say halfway there, but you're, a third of the way there.
Well, one of the things that occurred to me that's nice about this product is in the laundry, space, this product doesn't eliminate their existing products.
No.
So you still need the same amount of soap, bleach. Sure. You still need a dryer sheet, maybe.
If you want to go the dryer sheet route, absolutely.
So all this does is actually reduces your PG&E bill.
Yeah.
And fluffs your stuff out, and makes you get in bed earlier on Sunday nights.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing, is I literally, once again, I was proud papa, because I had my sheets. I go, okay, let's try this. Did the sheets. Everything dried about 20 minutes faster than what the timer said.
Wow, that's
a
decent amount.
Yeah. So that literally knocks off 40% of time and saves that energy.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, everything came out separated. No joke, Mark. I was, and it's not hidden like a dryer ball stuck and hiding. Your socks are out and so on. Hiding in sleeves or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. Everything was separated.
Yeah.
Everything just. I pulled my sheets out. I can't believe it.
And I can't tell you, because I pull sheets out and there's just stuff stuck and rolled into everywhere, just twisted, rolled,
and you don't know where that sock went, and so you end up losing the other. You toss the other one out, and then you find it 2 weeks later in the sleeve of your shirt.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
So wonderful, wonderful development, wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Until Brandon thinks he's going to get one, I think.
I know, right? Yeah. And they are available in multiple colors. This is just the standard opaque white, evidently. Yeah. So that comes in the 3D printer.
Wow, what a fantastic. Okay, so what else about this? I mean, do you want to relay? I mean,
well, once again, it does save energy. In those tests, what was great is we showed what these different loads, different load parameters would start to time when you do an auto sensor, as most people do.
Yep.
They superload their wash, superload their dry. And so what happens is the dryer measures it, and it'll say, it'll go for, 59 minutes or 103 minutes, whatever the case is. And what will happen is because the laundry aid device, the laundry lance, keeps things separated, the air in the cabin travels more freely in untangled clothing, so everything dries so much quicker. And so what we found in the documented testing was the highest savings was 79% saved in time, which translated to about 30 cents in that one load you just saved, based on a 12.7 cent per kilowatt average across the U.S. And I think that was about 2017. That was a standard or the standard price. The lowest amount that was recorded as far as time savings and energy savings was 16%. So what's wrong with that? You just saved 16% of time. It's probably about 9 minutes, and it's all documented here. And so that was terrific. So what happens is you have a device that cuts down on your frustration, cuts down on your energy use and the time. It also, I did note in a lot of findings in certain materials and fabrics that generate static cling, which would be like your nylon workout gear and so on. That tends to generate in the synthetic a lot of static. This actually reduced it to literally none.
Because it separated the clothes.
Because it kept and so you don't need the dryer sheets.
Interesting.
So that's one thing. And once again, those dryer sheets are chemically laced. A lot of people do not want the chemicals. So that was the other side benefit of this.
It's interesting. What this reminds me of,
Jack.
This just reminds me of a Jack, but when PG&E used to, I don't think they're doing it right now, but they would give you water-saving shower heads and blankets for your water heaters. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they said, well, you need one of these too? And I don't know why they wouldn't actually.
And that's actually another consideration for this company that I noted was there could be possible, utility rebates with this, as well as if you put that in the promotional sale of, a Samsung dryer at Lowe's or whatever the case is, you get one of these. And so that helps push that along with, a box of Tide detergent. And, the other thing too is everything was altered and changed within the writings of the patent applications because you want to make sure everything's in concert with that. So once again, you have to have a really good patent attorney. And I always communicated with Eric Boardman, my attorney, in Scottsdale about, the design changes. Does this fit within the patent protection parameter? Absolutely.
Very important process. That is one issue that we run into where patents are wonderful things, and there are times, however, when people come to us with an idea that's much more complicated, and they have their patent and it is pending or maybe even granted, and we have to work inside the confines of their patent, which limits the amount of creative, things that we can do to help the product or help the machine.
Yeah.
so it's a double-edged sword, double-edged lance.
Right.
So it's you did exactly the right thing,
Yeah,
because sometimes there are we see opportunities for improving the product, reducing manufacturing costs, those types of things, but we're hamstringed by the actual patent document.
Yeah.
So you approach that really well.
Yeah. And and once again, it's about having an attorney that knows how to write.
Sure.
Write the patents. And his track record was, he had quite a few granted, his history and quite a few in the pending process. But, it's all in the writing of that. And, but the other thing too, another, I guess, third side or another function of it was it works in the wash. And that was a big thing because you have situations with the upright agitator and now the new washers that don't have an agitator, they're the dome. The problem with the dome is everything clumps up.
Yes.
And people are becoming increasingly very frustrated, incredibly actually mad that they purchased these dome washers that everything just basically balls together. This gets it clean and dry on the first try.
Yeah, very cool.
So one for the wash, one for the dry, or transfer the one out of the wash into the dryer.
Is that the slogan? Clean and dry on the first try?
That's exactly it. The laundry lens. Get clean and dry in the first try.
You heard it here.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's it.
Put quotes around that.
Right. Well, I've been in advertising for 30 years, so I kind of know something, I guess, right?
Got to copyright that one. So yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I think wonderful. I did. Yeah. I have a couple of copyrights as well.
Well, good.
Yeah, of course.
So, a wonderful story here. We love working with inventors who are, number one, who work hard, which seems to be an interesting trait of all the people who are successful, believe it or not, is working hard to get all the answers and figure all this stuff out. We also, when it's an enjoyable experience, that makes a difference too from our standpoint. We're part of the team. We want to see you succeed, and it's great when we feel that way. We always did with you, Lance, and appreciated that.
Yeah.
And it's a very neat product. Any last thoughts on this or what's going on with this?
Well, like I said, I'm in the final stages with this large global company. They have an office in Europe that I talk with, as well as the one back towards the eastern side of the U.S. in their research side of things. So we do these early morning conference calls, so to get things going. So we're in the final stages in that conversation, and to answer that question earlier, I'm looking to get this product out on the market, and they were my first choice, and thankfully I knew people within organizations that helped open those doors with that first choice because they're a world-class company. So we should know whether we're going to partner and license in some sort of capacity. I'm going to suggest probably between now and probably June I'll have that. Or do we part ways? And if we part ways, it's just not the right fit for them. However, I've been in contact with a total of 14 companies. 4 have already said no, and that was because it's really not in their wheelhouse.
Sure, yeah.
And 2, I don't want to do business with. And then there's about 5 left that I need to re-engage. But this one here, I believe we may have something that we can move forward with.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah. And then,
I'll
wish
you luck.
What to do next.
I'm sure we're going to see this out in the market. And of course,
Yeah.
I'll have one. My wife will be happy about that.
Yeah.
Once again, our guest has been Lance Minnite. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Nice having you here.
Lots of fun.
So all of you, please, give us feedback on this podcast. Make sure you follow us on Facebook when you can. And we'll be really excited to see you here for our next adventure in podcasting in the near future. So it's Mark Jackson here signing out from the Pie Shop in Central California. Thank you.